Do you ever feel like you're constantly doing, constantly running, yet, deep down, you're not actually going anywhere? What if the problem isn't the world around you, but the habits within you? Imagine chopping down a tree with a dull axe swing. After swing, all effort, no progress. That's how most of us live. But what if I told you there's a better way, grounded in ancient wisdom and built on intentional habits? Most people spend their lives reacting, stressing, surviving, but the Stoics knew, real power lies in choosing. If you're tired of being busy without direction, this is the wake-up call you've been waiting for. Let's be honest, life today moves fast. You're checking off tasks, meeting deadlines, and keeping up with everything, but rarely pausing to ask, where am I actually going? The Stoics believed that true success isn't about how much you do it, about why you do it. In this video, we'll break down 7 effective habits rooted in timeless wisdom that will help you live more intentionally, act with clarity, and grow into the person you're meant to become. Asterisk. Have you ever felt like you're spinning in circles, busy from dawn till dusk, yet somehow getting nowhere? It's like running on a treadmill that never stops. Tasks keep piling up, days blur into each other, and still, there's this nagging question echoing in your mind. Is this really it? You're not alone. Most of us live reactively, chasing after deadlines, putting out fires, and responding to the noise of the world. But the ancient Stoics offer a different lens. They remind us that the true essence of life isn't about being busy, it's about being intentional. At the heart of an intentional life lies one thing: habit. As Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Our daily habits don't just shape our schedules, they shape who we are becoming. Today, we're not here for quick fixes. We're here to uncover habits that serve as a roadmap, practical tools to help you realign your actions with your core values. Whether you're feeling stuck in the grind or starting over with fresh hope, these habits can help you take back control, live with clarity, and start building the life you've quietly been longing for. Let's begin with a question you've probably never asked out loud, but often feel deep down. Why do we blame the world so much when things go wrong? The weather messes up your weekend plans. A rude coworker sets your mood spiraling. Traffic delays throw your schedule off. And suddenly it feels like the universe is out to get you. But, what if it's not the world? What if the real issue lies within us? The Stoics believed something radical and freeing. Our power doesn't lie in what happens to us, but in how we choose to respond. This shift in thinking is the core of being proactive. Because let's face it, life will keep testing you. Delays will happen. People will disappoint. Obstacles will appear. But here's the truth. None of these things have the power to derail you, unless you give them permission. Being proactive is about understanding that, while we may not control the waves, we can always adjust the sails. Let's bring this down to something familiar. Imagine you're waiting in line for coffee, and someone cuts in front of you. Your blood pressure spikes. Your thoughts spiral. Who does this person think they are? In that moment, you have a choice. You can let that irritation ruin your coffee and your morning, or you can pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this isn't worth my peace. That tiny pause. That's where the magic happens. The Stoics called it the space between stimulus and response. And that space is where your true power lives. But being proactive isn't just about staying calm. It's about taking initiative. People who live intentionally don't just wait for life to happen, they create. Think of it like this. A reactive person complains about the storm. A proactive one, they grab the wheel, adjust the sails, and keep moving forward. So how do you actually start being proactive? Start small. Next time something doesn't go your way, maybe the bus is late, someone throws a snarky comment, or an unexpected expense appears, ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? More often than not, the answer will be no. Then, shift your focus. Can you rearrange your schedule? Can you communicate more clearly? Can you view the setback as a hidden opportunity? Also, don't underestimate the power of preparation. A proactive life isn't built on improvisation, it's built on intention. Begin your mornings with a clear goal, a grounding thought. Ask yourself, how do I want to show up today, no matter what happens? Reflect on the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control. Focus on what you can control: your mindset, your actions, your attitude, and gently let go of what you can't. Because sometimes, being busy isn't the problem. The real question is, are you busy doing the right things? We just talked about reclaiming your power by being proactive, choosing how you respond, rather than reacting to what life throws at you. Now, let's go a step deeper. Because even when you respond with clarity, you still need to know where you're going. Have you ever had one of those days where you check off task after task, run all your errands, meet every deadline, yet still feel this strange emptiness? You ask yourself, what's the point of all this? It's far too easy to get swept up in the momentum of everyday life and forget to pause and ask a simple, yet powerful question. Where am I actually headed? The Stoics had a name for this. They urged us to identify our ultimate purpose, the deeper why behind everything we do. Because without that clarity, even the most productive person can end up chasing the wrong things, climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. And that's where this next idea comes in. Begin with the end in mind. Asterisk, picture your life as a journey. If you don't know your destination, how can you choose the right road? It's like starting a long hike with no idea where the trail leads. Sure, you might stumble on a few nice views along the way, but you'll miss the summit, the moment that makes it all worth it. Life works the same way. Without a clear vision of what you're aiming for, it's easy to spend years chasing distractions, hustling hard, but never feeling fulfilled. But when you begin with the end in mind, everything shifts. Suddenly, decisions that once felt complicated begin to make sense. Should you take that new job? Should you invest in that relationship? Buy that flashy new car? Instead of relying on trends, pressure, or what others are doing, you align every choice with your vision. And this alignment, that's where your real strength comes from, as Epictetus put it so well. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But that leads to an important question. How do you figure out what your end really looks like? Start by asking yourself the questions most people avoid. What do I truly value? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Who are the people I want beside me on this journey? These aren't questions you answer in a single afternoon. They take time, quiet moments, honest journaling, maybe even long walks where your mind can wander. But as you explore them, something powerful begins to happen. Your priorities shift, your clarity grows, and your actions begin to feel more meaningful. One of the most powerful tools to anchor this clarity is creating a personal mission statement. Think of it like a compass, a short, focused declaration of who you are and where you're headed. It doesn't have to be complicated. It might be as simple as, I live to grow, to serve others, and to find joy in the small moments. Or it could outline your specific goals, career ambitions, relationships, personal values. What matters isn't perfection. What matters is having something that guides you when life gets noisy, something to return to when you feel lost, overwhelmed, or pulled in too many directions. Because once you have that vision, it becomes easier to say no to what doesn't serve it. Life constantly throws opportunities, distractions, and requests our way. Without a clear why, we're tempted to say yes to all of them, a fear of missing out. But when you know what you're working toward, that fear fades. You can tell the difference between what's essential and what's just noise. Seneca captured this beautifully. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. So let me ask you, have you ever felt like your to-do list is the one running your life? You wake up, glance at all the things waiting for you, and immediately feel buried. So you tackle the easiest tasks first, just to feel like you're making progress. But by the end of the day, despite all the motion, you realize you never got to the things that truly matter. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Many of us are living in a constant state of survival, reacting to what's urgent, rather than focusing on what's important. And that's where our next habit comes in, putting first things first. Think of your life as a jar. The big rocks, your health, your relationships, your growth, those are the things that matter most. The emails, the errands, the minor obligations. They're the sand. If you fill the jar with sand first, you won't have space left for the rocks. So how do we shift from reacting to what's loud to prioritizing what's lasting? Previously, we explored how putting first things first means making room for what truly matters before letting the noise of life take over. Now, let's dig deeper into how that principle actually works and why it's so powerful. Think of your life as a glass jar. The big rocks, your health, your relationships, your personal growth, should go in first. Then comes the sand, errands, emails, notifications, social media. If you pour the sand in first, there's no space left for the rocks. But if you place the rocks first, the sand can flow around them, filling in the gaps. That's the secret here. Priorities must come first. Every single time. The Stoics understood this instinctively. Seneca put it plainly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. So, how do you identify your own big rocks? Start by asking yourself, what brings real value to my life? Is it quality time with your family, working on a passion project that lights you up, or maybe investing in your physical and mental health? Once you're clear on what matters most, the next challenge is protecting your time like it's sacred, because it is. No one else will guard your time for you. If you don't intentionally make space for what matters, the world will fill your days with distractions and noise. Now let's face the elephant in the room. Distractions. We live in a world that thrives on them: pings, alerts, notifications, an endless sea of emails, and the constant lure of social media. Hours can disappear before you even realize what happened. The Stoics had a word for this loss of control: prohairesis, the failure to choose wisely. To them, mastery began with this: focus only on what aligns with your higher purpose. Epic said it best: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. That means consciously choosing to control your focus, your time, and your energy, and releasing everything that doesn't serve you. But here's the hard part. Putting first things first often means saying no. No to extra obligations. No to interruptions. No to anything that pulls you away from your real priorities. It's not easy, but it's freeing. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. Seneca put it sharply: he who is everywhere is nowhere. And don't forget, rest is part of the equation too. We often treat downtime like a luxury, but it's not. It's a necessity. The Stoics knew the value of balance. They understood that moments of rest, reflection, and renewal weren't wasted, were fuel for showing up stronger, clearer, and more grounded in what truly matters. So as you begin to build a life around your highest priorities, remember, your schedule should include recovery, not just productivity. Now let me ask you something more personal. When you step into a negotiation, a disagreement, or even a casual conversation, what's your mindset? Are you aiming to win, to come out on top, to prove your point? It's tempting, isn't it? From a young age, we're taught to compete, to win at all costs. But have you ever noticed what's often left behind when one person wins and the other loses? Resentment, frustration, missed chances to connect, to understand, to grow. The Stoics, deeply attuned to human nature, recognized this flaw. Seneca once wrote, "What difference does it make how much you have? What you do not have amounts to much more." That's the lesson. Real success isn't about taking more, it's about creating value for everyone involved. And that's the heart of the next habit: developing a win-win mindset. It's not just about being kind or avoiding conflict. It's a powerful shift from competition to collaboration. Instead of asking, "What can I get from this?" you begin to ask, "How can we both walk away better?" This isn't about self-sacrifice. A win-win mindset doesn't mean giving up what you want just to please others. It means believing that your success doesn't threaten mine and mine doesn't threaten yours. That shift changes everything. It opens doors, builds trust, and fosters relationships that last. And speaking of mindset, what happens when you start seeing others as partners, not opponents? In the previous section, we explored the power of shifting from competition to collaboration, embracing a win-win mindset, where success isn't a zero-sum game, but a shared experience. Now, let's take that idea even further. Because here's the truth: when you stop viewing others as threats and start seeing them as potential partners, something shifts. Opportunities begin to multiply, relationships deepen, conversations become more meaningful. But let's be honest, it's not always easy to think this way. Our ego often gets in the way. We want to be right. We want to win. We want to feel validated. That's human. This is where Stoicism becomes a game changer. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And that's the heart of it. A win-win mindset requires humility, a willingness to let go of the need to dominate and instead lean into understanding. It's about setting aside your pride and truly listening to the other person. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood. Sounds simple, right? But in practice, it can be tough, and that's what makes it powerful. Asterisk. So how do you actually begin to cultivate this mindset? Start by shifting your perspective. Instead of asking, "How can I get what I want?" ask, "What's the best outcome for everyone involved?" Then, practice empathy. Step into the other person's shoes. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What do they need in this moment? When you enter a conversation from a place of sincere understanding, you'll find it easier to build trust and find solutions that work for both sides. Another key element, transparent communication. Be upfront about your intentions, invite others to do the same. Let's say you're negotiating. Don't play games. Instead, say, here's what matters to me, what about you? You might be surprised how often your core priorities aren't actually in conflict. It's just a matter of alignment. Now let me ask, have you ever been in a conversation where it felt like the other person wasn't really listening? Maybe you were sharing something close to your heart, and they interrupted with advice you didn't ask for. Or worse, they steered the conversation back to themselves. It's frustrating, right? But here's the twist. We've all been that person. We think we're listening, but often we're just waiting for our turn to talk. It's such a common trap. We don't even realize we're doing it. The Stoics, however, would have seen this as a missed opportunity. They believed that true wisdom begins not with speaking but with understanding. Epictetus put it best. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. The problem is, most of us don't listen to understand. We listen to respond. Even when we're silent, our minds are racing, crafting the perfect reply, the clever rebuttal, or the most impressive story. But that's not real listening. Real, Stoic listening demands presence. It means setting aside your own agenda and focusing completely on the other person. Marcus Aurelius expressed this beautifully. When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. When you're secure in who you are, you don't feel the need to dominate the dialogue or prove your point. You simply listen. And here's where the real magic happens. When someone feels heard, they naturally open up. Think back to the last time someone truly listened to you. Not just nodded politely, but genuinely made the effort to understand. Didn't that feel amazing? That's because being understood is a universal human need. And when you meet that need for someone else, you create a safe space for growth, connection, and sometimes even healing. Now, that doesn't mean you become a passive participant nodding along while others take over the conversation. No, seeking to understand is active, it's engaging, it's curious. Ask open-ended questions like, can you tell me more about how you're feeling? Or what do you think would make this situation better? These simple questions signal that you value the other person's perspective. And more often than not, they open the door to insights you might have never uncovered otherwise. And here's another piece of the puzzle. Pay attention to what isn't being said, because people communicate far more through tone, expression, and body language than they do with words. Listening deeply means tuning in to those nonverbal cues. It's about noticing the pauses, the shifts, the hesitation, what's underneath the surface. Because sometimes, what's left unspoken says everything earlier. We explored how listening deeply with empathy and presence opens the door to trust and collaboration. But listening isn't just about hearing words. It's also about reading between the lines. People often reveal just as much through their tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions as they do through their actual words. The Stoics placed great importance on observing others with clarity and objectivity without rushing to judgment. Epictetus might have put it like this: don't merely listen to what they say, seek the intention behind their words. In modern terms, this means tuning in to what's left unsaid. Is the person you're speaking with showing signs of anxiety? Are they defensive? Or maybe there's a subtle spark of excitement behind their words. These nonverbal cues offer insight into someone's state of mind, giving you the chance to respond with greater compassion and clarity. And once you've truly understood someone once, you've given them the space to be heard. It becomes your turn to speak. Here's the beautiful part. When people feel listened to, they're far more likely to listen in return. Your words carry more weight. Your ideas land with more impact. Why? Because they're coming from a foundation of mutual respect and understanding, not from a place of dominance or ego. It's not about winning the conversation. It's about reaching a space where both parties feel seen, heard, and valued. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how some of the best things in life happen when people come together? A brilliant idea sparks during a spontaneous team brainstorm. A family grows closer after working through conflict. A friendship strengthens through honest conversation. There's something powerful, almost magically, about true collaboration. But, let's be honest, working with others isn't always smooth. Personalities clash, egos get in the way, and sometimes, let's face it, it just seems easier to go it alone. Yet, when we isolate ourselves, we miss out on something extraordinary. The Stoics deeply understood this. They taught that human beings are inherently social creatures, not to compete constantly, but to cooperate meaningfully. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly. What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee. In other words, when the group thrives, we all thrive. This is the heart of synergy, the idea that the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Picture it like baking a cake. Individually, flour, sugar, eggs, and butter are fine. But mix them together in the right way, and you create something completely new and far more delightful. Synergy works the same way in teams, friendships, families, and communities. It's not just about combining efforts. It's about creating something better, something none of us could have achieved on our own. But synergy doesn't just happen. It requires two powerful things: an open mind and a willingness to embrace differences. Here's where most people get stuck. We gravitate toward those who think like us, who share our opinions, who never challenge our beliefs. It feels safe, comfortable, but also limiting. The Stoics would challenge us to go further. Epictetus said, "It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows." True synergy starts with the recognition that other people's strengths and viewpoints, even when they differ from our own, are opportunities for growth. So, what mindset does synergy demand? First and foremost, humility. You have to be willing to admit you don't have all the answers, that others have ideas, talents, and insights that can add value. This isn't always easy, especially when you're confident in your own abilities. But as Seneca wisely noted, there is no one so perfect that they cannot learn from others. Humility opens the door, but trust keeps it open. When you work with others, you're placing part of your success in their hands. That can feel risky, vulnerable, but trust is the foundation of every meaningful, synergistic relationship. The Stoics emphasize justice, treating others with fairness and respect. When you trust people and treat them with dignity, they're far more likely to bring their full selves to the table. That's when true synergy happens. So how do you foster it in daily life? Start with active listening. When someone shares an idea, resist the instinct to critique or dismiss it. Instead, ask questions. Explore their perspective. Look for ways your strengths can complement theirs. Treat disagreements as opportunities, not roadblocks. And most of all, stay curious. Curiosity keeps you open. It transforms challenges into puzzles to be solved together. And while collaboration can be powerful, it also demands energy, and energy, as we'll explore next, is something you must protect and renew. Because what happens when you give, but forget to replenish? After all, collaboration and synergy are only possible when we have the energy to show up fully. But what happens when we've been pushing so hard for so long that we start to feel empty? You keep meeting deadlines. You keep checking off tasks. But slowly, the cracks begin to show. You're tired. Your focus is slipping. Even simple things start to feel overwhelming. It's like trying to chop down a tree with a dull axe. No matter how much effort you pour in, the results just aren't there. You're working harder, but moving slower. The Stoics would see this, not as a failure, but as a warning sign. A clear message. Even the strongest among us must take care of the tools we use to navigate life. And those tools are you, your mind, your body, your emotions, and your soul. Let's break this down into 4 essential dimensions, starting with the physical. Your body is the foundation of everything you do. And yet, it's often the first thing we sacrifice. We skip meals, cut corners on sleep, and promise ourselves we'll work out later. But here's the truth. When you take care of your body, you're not just protecting your health, you're elevating your ability to think, create, connect, and lead. Exercise, sleep, and nourishing food aren't luxuries. They're fuel. Even the Stoics, who prize discipline and self-mastery, acknowledge the importance of physical well-being. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That includes honoring your body's basic needs so it can carry you toward a meaningful life. Now let's talk about mental renewal. In today's world, our minds are under siege. Emails, notifications, news alerts, and an endless to-do list pull at our focus every waking hour. So sharpening your mental saw means something radical, creating space to think, learn, and reflect. It might be reading a book that challenges you, learning a new skill that excites you, or simply giving yourself permission to sit in silence without checking your phone. The Stoics believed deeply in reflective thought. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal to clarify his values and faced life's challenges head-on. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. You have the power to revoke at any moment. Taking time to reflect sharpens your mind and strengthens your ability to choose your response with wisdom and clarity. Next, the emotional dimension. Life's demands can drain not just your energy, but your relationships and emotional well-being. This part of the Saw means nurturing human connection and extending compassion to yourself. The Stoics understood that we are inherently social beings. We aren't meant to carry life's weight alone. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Gratitude, presence, connection. These restore our emotional balance and help us bounce back stronger when stress hits hard. And finally, there's the spiritual dimension, the one that ties everything together. For the Stoics, spirituality wasn't necessarily religious. It was about living in alignment with your principles and recognizing your place in something greater than yourself. So let me ask you, when was the last time you paused to reflect on what truly matters to you? Spiritual renewal might look like journaling, meditating, walking in nature, or simply sitting in silence and listening to your inner voice. Whatever form it takes, the goal is the same: to return to yourself, to reconnect with the part of you that seeks purpose, peace, and presence. Because clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from stepping back, breathing deeply, and remembering who you are. Thank you for being part of Mind of Stoic. If this resonated with you, take a moment to explore one of the suggested videos on your screen. It's the next step in your journey toward a more intentional and meaningful life. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress, one moment, one choice, one habit at a time. Thanks for watching. Stay grounded and keep growing.